Hi, and welcome back to Exploring the Outdoors. I'm Tim, and this video is going to be all about doing the Z1 Titan swap for the front of the Nissan Frontier. Mine is a 2017 model. I am using the Old Man Emu front shocks with the Z1 Offroad spacer on top, and we are using the Dobson medium duty coil springs. I got the Titan lower control arms. We have the Z1 adjustable upper control arms. We have longer CV axles, tie rod ends, inner and outer, and we have a stainless steel brake line kit over there. So we got a lot of work to do. The back of the truck has already been done. I did that in a previous video with the Ironman heavy duty leaf springs. So this one is all about the front and getting this kit on that truck. I can't build my shocks up yet because the tool I ordered, the spring compressor, has not arrived. It's supposed to arrive tomorrow. So my plan is just go ahead and get the truck jacked up on one side. I'll do one side at a time for safety because I'm working in the dirt. And I have two jack stands, a little scissor jack, and a floor jack. So I'll leave one front tire on and I'll jack up one side, and we'll go from there. Quick little look at the kit. This is the lower control arms, the new CV axles. Obviously these are the front shocks and everything. These are the spacers that I was talking about that are on there. The new Z1 upper control arms. There's the other lower. Here's your tie rod ends, new other CV axle. Up here is the stainless steel brake lines, extended brake lines. And then I got some hardware in this bag right here. And shouldn't be too bad. It's gonna be mostly bolting back together everything, just putting shit back on, but shouldn't be too bad. Saying shouldn't be too bad is kind of like setting me up for failure already, so we'll see. Alright, so as you can see, I just about got everything out of here. I still have the tie rod to take off. I still got to take the sway bar off all the way, which is on the other, attached on the other side. This just attaches right here to the ball. I need to pop this piece loose and then clean it up a little bit in here, and then we can start putting it back together. I think tonight I'll probably go ahead and hang the lower control arm and maybe put the upper control arm in place, and maybe slide the CV axle in the hole so it's not exposed right now. But yeah, not too bad so far. What's up everybody, good morning. It's day 2 of the Titan swap in the front of the Nissan here, and I'll show you what I got going, tell you about some of the little troubles I had last night, usually the first day I don't really film a whole lot of the first side because I'm still learning as I'm going, and then when I get to the other side I kind of have a better idea and I can show y'all a better way of doing it. So learned a few things on this side. This side going pretty good? Yeah, I'd say so. We just got into spring compressor kit and everything in the mail, so we can go ahead and build up our springs and go ahead and start reassembling this whole side, and I'll show y'all some stuff that I do. So as you can see, I have the new CV axle. I have the lower control arm, and I put the upper control arm in here. But also while I'm, and I got the inner and outer tie rods in here. I got to put a clamp on up there on the end of that boot up there before I get too hard to get to in here. But one of the things I always do when I take my truck apart, and some people have said, you know, I don't see a whole lot of rust on your truck. Well, it's because every time I take my truck apart, I wipe the frame clean like I did here. If you notice, this is all freshly black painted. I just use like some Krylon, some black Krylon paint, and I'll put some cardboard like I did up here to keep from getting it all over the engine and stuff. But I'll just kind of touch up the frame a little bit. I mean, it's going to get scratched up, it's going to get rusty again, it's going to get dirty, rocks and everything else going to be flying in here. But every time you're in here, if you do this, it just kind of helps out a little bit. So we still got to take off the sway bar because we can't reuse that. That's not going to be reused. And then yeah, we'll go ahead and start building up the shocks over there at the table. And actually the whole spindle piece is on the tailgate. I washed it. I'm going to touch it up with black paint too, so everything looks nice and neat and clean in here again. And we'll start reassembling this side and get it all done, and then we'll have to tinker with the alignment stuff a little bit to get it half-assed close so we can take it to an alignment shop and get it done professionally, but we could get it close. So that's where we're at right now. We're going to end up building up those shocks here in just a minute, and then we'll start reassembling this side. Alright, so here we have the old shock that was on my truck and the new shock. Well, the new shock with the Z1 Offroad spacer is taller than my old one. Also, I don't have springs on it yet. The springs are obviously bigger in size than these two. But I did notice that my old spacer was actually bigger than this one. So I guess if I really wanted to lift my truck a little more, if I don't like the way it sits, I could put this spacer on here instead and have that much more room. I mean, you can look at the size of the spacers. That one right there is at least 1/4 of an inch taller. But so for this part right here, I have the spacer on this plate. I'll show you, and it's already torqued down, so I'm not going to break that part loose. I already torqued it, and I'll put a little clip to the video in this when I was doing that, because I did it on the table. All right, so when your shock comes, it's going to come like this. Nothing's on it. This little black piece here, it just goes on like that. Just covers up that part. And then you have this big rubber piece that fits into this metal piece right here. And then it's got a little metal sleeve which goes in here. And you'll see there's another big rubber piece right here, and that metal sleeve is in there. This right here goes on top like that. And then you got 3 bolts right here that are already torqued on mine, and that's holding the spacer to the top plate. So basically what we got to do is use this fancy dancy little tool kit I got here for compressing the springs. And the way this thing works, get that metal thing off of there, it's just a big old threaded piece of rod, and it's got a piece for a ratchet on there. So you're going to hook it to your spring, and the flat part of the spring is going to go up, and this rounded part right here is going to sit right here in this cradle. So it'll sit like that when it's done. But you got to compress this thing down to get this back on top and started, which is where the spring compressors come in. So now that you got it situated, you can take and put, loosen it up until you can get this thing on. And you're going to put one on each side because you're compressing a lot of tension on that spring. And then, oh man, these springs are so big they don't even allow the safety thing to engage. Got one started, and those safety things, and springs diameter is just too much for these little safeties to come out, but it would work on that one because that's a factory. Alright, so there's one side, and then we'll put another one on here, and I'll go ahead and speed it up and you can see the process, because if I do this it's going to take too long. Alright, so I got one of my shocks put together. It's all assembled. I just got to put it in a truck. This is the old one, this is the new ones. You can see the rough country spacer was actually bigger than the Z1 race off-road spacer, but I'll hold on to those in case I want to lift it a little bit more. But I use the spring compressors. If you're going to use those type of tools there, I would suggest buying 2 kits or 3 of those pieces, at least having 3 of them on here, because that thing is like a bomb waiting to go off. And I ended up using those 2 there, and then I put it in my press over here, and I pressed the whole thing down so I could start the nut underneath over here, and it kind of held it all into place for me, so I wasn't too scared at that point. But the rest of the time it was nerve-wracking, because it's like that thing, if it goes, it's going to take some stuff out. So anyway, or just pay the extra money and have them build that sucker for you, because they'll do that too. Alright, so I got the new tool on here that I got for the breaking this inner tie rod here loose. We'll see how well it works. Crap, I have to put the breaker bar on. It's tight.